Part 37. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 361. For the baby, being able to eat is indeed a blessing, and the premise of blessing is that there is enough food at home to supply him. The Lu family has wind and snow, and only Zibao is so lucky. There was a meal of milk when the rooster crowed, and a bowl of egg custard for breakfast. Around 9 o'clock, the little fat man became hungry again. He enjoyed the sweetness of the milk under Lu Jiang's jealous eyes, and fell asleep with the pacifier in his mouth. Lu Jiang, who had just finished shoveling the snow, thought that he could finally have sex with his wife. However, around 11 o'clock, this guy was so hungry that he howled at the top of his lungs after opening his eyes. The howl was earth-shattering, and Feng Qingxiu secretly did it. A bowl of fruit puree, my little mouth squeaked and ate it cleanly. At noon, I lay in my mother's arms and danced while watching the table full of food, with a face full of desire for food. Feng Qingxiu fed him a few mouthfuls of rice soup, and his complexion became much better. How coaxing, Lu Jiang thought. Qingxiu, let me hold him while you eat, rest your arms, this little fat guy is not light, he weighs about 20 pounds. In order for them to cultivate the relationship between father and son, Feng Qingxiu pretended not to see her son's reluctance. Without hesitation, Feng Qingxiu handed him to her husband, who stretched out his arms, and taught her husband how to hold the child to make him feel comfortable. As a result, Zibao, just after falling into Lu Jiang's arms, everyone at the dinner table heard a puk sound, followed by a sour smell. Lu Jiang was so frightened that he held his arms and didn't dare to move. What's wrong? Feng Qingxiu suppressed her laughter amidst the laughter from the people at the table. He pooped. Poo. While everyone is eating. Lu Jiang's face was livid, and he looked down at the little fat man. The little fat man was chewing his fist, looking innocently at the big black face, his face flushed, and he seemed to be still working hard. Father Lu glared at his son. Isn't it normal for children to poop? It's not like adults can control it. Dad, that's not what I meant. No, he didn't speak. Why was he being scolded? Although you didn't say anything, that's what you meant. Lu's father was very unreasonable, and several children nodded along. They all saw that the uncle, brother-in-law, didn't look good after hearing Zibao pooping. Give it to me, I'll change his diaper. Feng Qingxiu stretched out her hand towards Lu Jiang. I'll help you. Lu Jiang carried him into the house and put him on the bed, and Feng Qingxiu followed him in with a small basin of warm water. Lu Jiang opened the diaper, and the sour smell hit his face. A diaper full of poop. Feng Qingxiu reached out and took a closer look at the color and shape of the daddy, and nodded with satisfaction. It's normal. Wipe him clean. Then she soaked a soft towel in warm water, wrung it out, and handed it to Lu Jiang. Wipe your bottom and put on a clean diaper. The dryness of the butt made the little fat man feel very comfortable, and he happily reached out to Feng Qingxiu. After the baby followed his mother, the diapers he changed and the towel he used to wipe his butt naturally belonged to Lu Jiang. This little fat guy's shit stinks so much. After the meal, Lu Jiang squatted in the yard washing towels and a pile of diapers, holding his breath. Next time, give him less food. The more he eats, the more he poops. You have to do more in a day. How many times should you change and wash it? Eat less, and the less you will poop. Now I eat milk powder, breast milk, and food together. I poop 2 or 3 times a day. I changed her once in the early morning. Feng Qingxiu was watching him washing diapers and nagging at the same time, while she put the Zibao in her military coat. The little fat man was very unhappy and struggled to stretch his head out, causing his tiger head hat to tilt. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 362. Seeing Lu Jiang lowering his head to wash diapers, the little fat man chuckled and almost stopped clapping. This brat? Feng Qingxiu turned sideways so that Lu Zhang could not see it, otherwise Lu Zhang would be furious. 2 or 3 times, when Lu Zhang heard that his son pooped 2 or 3 times a day, the number of times he peed must be more than the number of times he pooped, his face became even more blue. He shook the clean diaper with his hands and couldn't help but raise his voice. You mean, Zibao will poop at least once again today, do you need to wash the diaper stained with poop again? Feng Qingxiu smiled and nodded, it's normal. I keep a lot of parenting diaries, you can read them carefully. Understand your son's daily life and reactions at each stage. I'll definitely watch it, Lu Zhang said. He disliked the little fat guy, but he didn't know how much he liked him. Just as he was about to say something else, he saw his wife turning and walking towards the main room. Honey, is Zibao going to bed? The voice was full of surprise. Feng Qingxiu kept walking. How can he be so fast? He hasn't drunk milk yet. After drinking, he fell asleep. When he was asleep, he was very quiet, like an angel, a fat and white angel. When Lu Zhang came in quietly, he found that his wife had also fallen asleep, with a faint cyan color in her eyes, which could mean that she had not had a peaceful sleep since having the child. After tucking mother and son in, Lu Zhang opened the diary that his wife had taken out on the bedside table. The pregnancy reactions during pregnancy, diet, scenes during childbirth, and what happened every day after the birth of my son were recorded in the diary. Not a single thing was missed about eating, drinking, sleeping, and everything from being red and wrinkled at birth to becoming white and fat later. Fat, from drinking milk every hour to now drinking milk 4 or 5 times a day, with various foods, from the first time he turned over and sat up to now crawling, grinding teeth, and all kinds of food cravings. The funny actions shown. Lu Zhang continued to read when he suddenly heard someone calling the door outside. He hid the diary under his pillow and went out to open the door. Cousin-in-law. Ah. Lu Zhang, you're back. Yes, I think I heard you're back, although Zhang Yuejin is younger than Lu Zhang, who told him to marry Feng Qingxiu's cousin. Wiping the sweat from his face, he said, is my cousin at home? Come with me quickly. What happened? Lu Zhang asked. He noticed that Zhang Yuejin was in a very embarrassed state. He must have fallen down on the road. He was covered in snow and his forehead was bruised. Not only that, he was wearing 2 different shoes. Only then did Zhang Yuejin remember his purpose, and while patting himself on the head, he said, Jiao Jiao is about to give birth, and she is screaming in pain at home. I'll ask my cousin to come to my house to help. Hurry, hurry. After Lu Zhang heard this, he quickly woke up Feng Qingxiu. Feng Qingxiu put on a military coat and leather boots, carried a medical kit, and said, you look after Zibao at home, I'll be back as soon as I can. Looking back at Zibao, who was sleeping soundly, Lu Zhang reluctantly agreed and walked her to the door. Be careful on the road. Don't do some somersaults on the road like my cousin-in-law. I understand. The milk powder and bottles are on the bedside table. I don't know when I will come back. If he is hungry, you can feed him milk powder. The amount of milk powder fed is recorded in the diary. The snow is very thick, and as more people walk by, the snow on the road becomes more compact, making it easy to slip. Feng Qingxiu took advantage of the fact that she was wearing military leather boots and walked forward through the untrodden snow. One foot was deep and the other was shallow. She followed Zhang Yuejin, who was walking quickly. She rushed to Zhang Yuejin's home panting, and was immediately disturbed by the impatient meow. Feng Qin was pulled in. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 363. The Zhang family is ready for delivery, with hot water, scissors, straw mats, and baby clothes and blankets all available. That's right, Feng Qingxiu gave birth on the bed, while others, including Wang Qiao, gave birth on the ground. The ground was covered with thick straw and thick straw mats, and Wang Jiao was covered with a few sheets made from old clothes. This was considered a relatively good situation in the production brigade. Most of the people were directly on the ground. Giving birth in a haystack corresponds to the phrase passed down from ancient times, the grass falls. Falling grass has two meanings, one is that falling grass is a bandit, and the other is the birth of a fetus. Throughout the ages, most women from poor families have given birth on haystacks, because the world believes that it is unlucky for women to give birth. The delivery room is called the blood room, and men are not allowed to enter to avoid getting bad luck. Oh, Zioxiu, you're here, take him out quickly. Wang Jiao lay on the straw mat and yelled, her face deformed in pain. She ate well during pregnancy, never had her mouth cut off, and did not like to work. Zhang Yuejin doted on her, and the Zhang family could not control her. No matter how Guanfeng Qingxiu warned her to exercise more to facilitate the birth, she remained the same. As a result, her figure has gained a lot of weight compared to Feng Qingxiu's time, her oval face has turned into a round face, her double chin is very obvious, there is a thick layer of fat on her waist, and her belly is not too big. When Feng Qingxiu was pregnant, she wasn't very fat, but her belly was very big, and her trembling appearance was frightening. On the other hand, Wang Jiao's arms and legs were a lot thicker, and her belly was not big, which made Miao Fengqin curse, why are you howling? Save your strength so you can have a baby. Zioxiu is here, what are you afraid of? I'm asking you to eat all the good things. No, don't leave any space for the baby. You are fatter than a pig, but your belly is not protruding much. Yuejin can hardly hold you. This is truly a perfect description. However, Miao Fengqin was right. The heaviest task pig in the production brigade was only 132 kilograms, and Wang Jiao's body size was visually estimated to be 145 kilograms. Isn't it heavier than a pig? Nowadays, this sentence is not considered an insult, because in everyone's mind, being fat means wealth and blessing. Only one fat man will appear among 1,000 people, and this fat man must be the richest person. Only rich people with high living standards can keep themselves fat in this era of lack of food and clothing. Why is Zibao loved by everyone? Apart from his good looks, he is also fat and lovable. Cousin, please rest for a while, and then call again when the baby is born. Can I ask your aunt to cook the eggs and noodles for you? Feng Qingxiu checked the fetal position and listened to the fetal heartbeat with a stethoscope. Everything was normal. That is, the birth canal is only 2 fingers open. As soon as she heard there was food, Wang Jiao immediately stopped howling and began to moan, bring it here quickly, I'm starving to death. She usually eats a lot, and her appetite has long been worked up. Just an hour or two after lunch, she felt like a drumming in her abdomen. Mother Yuejin was looking forward to this child very much, and she had prepared it early after being reminded by Zhang Yuejin. When Wang Jiao said she was hungry, she quickly lit a pot, added lard and chopped green onions, added water and boiled the rolled out white noodles. A poached egg. When it was brought to the room, Wang Jiao sat up without anyone reminding her. She was not afraid of being burned and devoured it in a matter of seconds. The empty bowl was put into Yuejin's hands, and she continued to lie on the straw mat and scream. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 364. Zhang Yuejin was restless waiting outside. When he saw his mother coming out, he hurriedly asked, how is Jiao Xiao? Is she giving birth? She screamed so miserably, she must be in unbearable pain. Yuejin's mother felt so sad, even more so than wild hawthorns. The son who has been raised for more than 20 years is so considerate to his daughter-in-law, but what about himself? It's not as good as treating his wife a fraction of the time. How can I still see my wife now? How can you give birth so quickly? You wait outside. Yuejin mother turned and went to the kitchen. Zhang Yuejin was stunned, looked at my mother's back and said, "Didn't you say that giving birth to a baby is as fast as farting? Why did you say it was still early when Jiao Jiao gave birth to a baby? Who takes such a long time to fart? And you're still moaning in pain." Zhang Yuejin's house is also a thatched house with adobe walls and basically no sound insulation. Feng Qing heard the conversation between mother and son in the snow house and burst into laughter. This child, Miao Fengqin, obviously heard it too, turning around and kicking her daughter, "Don't lie down just after eating. It's still too early for you to survive. Get up and walk around. Come down quickly." Wang Jiao didn't want to, so she was dragged up by Miao Fengqin, and she was panting from exhaustion. There is no way, Wang Jiao is too fat. Her fetal position was in the right position, and the fetal heartbeat was strong. However, the birth canal opened slowly. It was not until about 7 o'clock in the evening that she gave birth to a boy, weighing 5 pounds and 2 tails, with countless screams like a slaughtered pig. Wang Jiao lay paralyzed on the straw mat and gasped. The pain after giving birth was much better than during delivery. After Miao Fengqin weighed her grandson, she opened her mouth and cursed, look at you, you have gained 40 or 50 kilograms. My poor grandson only weighs 5 kilograms and 2 tails, which is much lighter than Zibao 2 kilograms, 2 kilograms. How are you so skinny? Kingxiu is not fat at all, but you are lucky that all the nutrition is on you. Wang Jiao rolled her eyes, why do you blame me? He is hiding in my belly, and I can't take him out and stuff delicious food into his mouth. If he doesn't grow taller, he blames himself for not having the ability. People like him, why is Bao so fat? Miao Fengqin was speechless after being contradicted by her. Yuejin's mother hugged her grandson and smiled from ear to ear. My mother-in-law, it's okay. I'll ask Yuejin to get something for Jiao Jiao to eat. The milk is enough, and the baby will gain weight during confinement. I remember Zioxiu was born in confinement, and she was happy Bao has grown 3 kilograms. My mother-in-law, my daughter has caused you trouble. It's okay, having a grandson makes everything easier. After all, it's the son who has done the most. Feng Qingxiu cleaned up the placental blood from Wang Jiao and said goodbye to them. The Zhang family had just had a new son and everyone was happy. Zhang Yuejin held his son and smiled so hard that his eyesight went out of his sight, and Yuejin's mother even stuffed half of the basket with it. He gave her the eggs and said, you haven't eaten well at night. Ask Yuejin to take them to your house. Take the eggs back to replenish yourself and Zibao. Auntie, I raise chickens at home and have eggs to feed Zibao. These eggs are left for my cousin during confinement. You know my cousin's appetite is always very good. Feng Qingxiu glanced at Lu Zhang waiting at the door. My Aunt Zhang came to pick me up, I don't need my cousin to send me off. Thinking of Wang Jiao's appetite, Yuejin's mother was a little scared. Then I'll scoop up a bowl of white noodles for you. No, why are you so polite? We usually take advantage of our cousin-in-law. Feng Qingxiu waved her hand and walked out the door briskly. Ajiang, you've been waiting for a long time, right? Who is watching Zibao? Lu Zhang took her medical kit and shined the flashlight on the path under her feet. 11 Bao has already fallen asleep. I asked Tianwan to look after me for a while. When we go back, I will ask Tianwan to go back to the house to sleep. Please pay attention to your steps. Come on. I'm holding you up. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 365. It was already dark, and everything was pitch black. Only the snow on the ground reflected light, making it very bright. Looking back at the road we have walked and the houses we passed, we will find that in the entire production brigade, only Zhang Yuejin's house still hears the sound of laughter, while the chickens and dogs in other houses are sleeping, and everything is completely silent. Did Zibao have dinner tonight? Feng Qingxiu let him hold her hand and walked forward, enjoying his care for her. Eat, a bowl of vegetable porridge at 5 or 6, Lu Zhang muttered, leading her to avoid the uneven place. After eating, he felt it was not enough, so he cried at the top of his lungs while we were eating. He cried so much that I was beaten by my father. I trained him several times and drank milk powder before going to bed. My wife, he is so difficult to deal with. How do you usually take care of him? Just after you put him in a new diaper before going to bed, he pooped a lot and the smell was so bad. He almost lost his breath and twisted his mouth, but the little fat man was very happy. After taking off his cotton-padded clothes, he rolled around on the bed and refused to sleep. Otherwise, he would have come to pick up his wife long ago. Feng Qingxiu's tired face was stained with a smile. Just get used to it. Children have no ability to control their excrement and urine. We have to be taken care of by adults for food, clothing, housing, and transportation. When we get old, Zibao will take care of us. I raised you when you were young, and you raised me when I was old. Parents raise their children, and children support their parents. The parents' kindness comes first, and then the children's filial piety. Lu Zhang complained, but Zibao is so difficult to take care of. He doesn't seem to like me. He avoids me when he sees me. When I coax him to sleep, he turns his back to me and moans. In the end, it was Xiaoun who coaxed him to sleep. It'll be fine in a few days. I'm not familiar with you now, Feng Qingxiu comforted. The effect of the snake oil ointment is very good. Under the light of the flashlight, you can see that the skin on his face has improved a lot. He will soon return to his previous handsome appearance. Zibao will definitely appreciate it. After listening to Feng Qingxiu's comfort, Lu Jiang's mood became even lower. I'm sorry, wife. When you were pregnant, when you gave birth, when you took care of the baby, I wasn't by your side to accompany you. You had to face everything alone, that's why Zibao did it. So unfamiliar with him. Feng Qingxiu hurriedly said, don't think so of A Jiang. Without your bloody battles on the front line, how could we have peace of mind in the rear? Dedication is synonymous with soldiers. The country is ours. If you serve the country, the whole family will be honored. Yan. This is a small family, so just leave it to me. If we work together, we can make a difference. Am I that great? Lu Zhang thought that he had just fulfilled his duties. It's great, really. Soldiers are the greatest and most respectable group. Lu Zhang straightened his chest and immediately pushed forward. He leaned sideways and whispered in her ear, since I am so great, can I make a small request? A little, a small request, very, very small. In the 12th lunar month of winter, the hot air from his words blew to the base of my ears. The wind and snow made my ears itch, and my cheeks turned red. What's the request? As long as it's within reason, she whispered. Lu Zhang was so happy that he hugged her and said, let's go home. I'll tell you when I get home. His eyes were shining like a flashlight, and his hot breath almost melted the snow on the ground. What request can't you tell me now? Feng Qingxiu gave him a white look. Taking advantage of the fact that no one was walking in the village at night, Lu Zhang quickly kissed her earlobe and said, I'll share some of Zibao's rations to try. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 366. Feng Qingxiu's face turned red and she cursed in a low voice, rogue. Dating without the purpose of marriage is just a hooligan, but we are already husband and wife, a loving couple, Lu Zhang said plausibly. If I hadn't been too tired and sleepy yesterday, then we should have said goodbye to each other better than newlyweds. Is a breakup better than a wedding? Still making firewood? Feng Qingxiu spat at him, quickened her pace and ran forward, putting some distance between herself and him. Lu Jiang was not willing to keep even a small distance. He caught up with his wife in 3 steps and 2 steps at a time. He naturally held her hand again. Feng Qingxiu shook her hand a few times and then let him hold her. On fire. When he learned that his son had gone out to pick up his daughter-in-law, and that only the child was left at home, Father Lu was worried, so he sat at the door of the cowshed. While thinking about the ups and downs of life, he always paid attention to his son's home, until he found that his son and daughter-in-law were acting intimately at the door and opened the door. After opening the door, the old man patted the snow on his military coat and walked out of the shadows to go back to his room to rest. "Uncle, Auntie, are you back?" Lu Tianjun, who was reading by the kerosene lamp, rubbed his eyes and yawned. "Then I'll go to bed. Zibao is very good and doesn't cry or make trouble. The hot water is boiled. The teapot is full, and there is still something in the pot, which can be used for washing. Thank you for your hard work, Tianjun." After listening to Feng Qingxiu's words, Lu Tianjun smiled. "Why bother? Zibao is my younger brother." Lu Jiang sent him back to the east side room and came back to scoop out hot water. Feng Qingxiu simply washed up, brushed her teeth, washed her face, and applied a layer of skincare products. Lu Jiang brought the foot bath filled with warm water to the bed. "Honey, I worked hard for you when I was not at home. Now that I'm back, I'll wash your feet for the rest of my life until I lie down and can't move." Feng Qingxiu had just tucked Zibao in, and hit him on the shoulder. "Don't say bad words about lying down and not being able to move." As he spoke, he said "ba ba ba" a few times. Lu Jiang is a soldier, and there is no guarantee for a soldier's life on the battlefield. Every time Lu Jiang goes to the battlefield, she will be frightened. Where can she hear such unlucky words? She was most afraid of hearing what Lu Jiang said about not being able to move in the future. Okay, I'll pay attention next time." "Sir, I'll definitely pay attention next time," Lu Jiang said as he helped her take off her shoes and socks, put her 2 snow-white and soft feet into the hot water with a moderate temperature, and stirred up the water. Sprinkled on her feet, his big rough hands couldn't help but kneaded. "Honey, your feet are so beautiful, like they are carved from white jade. They were as smooth as gel. The skin on your feet is already like this, and you can imagine it on your body." Lu Jiang's heart suddenly became hot, and he immediately speeded up the movements of his hands. After wiping Feng Qingxiu's feet, he washed the remaining water and grass and poured it into the corner outside. When he came back, he found that his wife had already been lying in Zibao. The quilt made a small snoring sound. But he knew that his wife was pretending to sleep. "My wife sleeps well and never snores. Qingxiu, wake up, wake up, wake up, you haven't satisfied me yet." Lu Jiang pushed her and couldn't wake her up. Seeing that her eyes were closed tighter, Lu Jiang simply took her out of Zibao's bed. He took it out and stuffed it into his bed. Feng Qingxiu was so frightened that she suddenly opened her eyes. "Rogue, what are you doing?" His clothes were pulled open. If he had known better, he would have worn a jumper. "It was a mistake. I told you I'm not a gangster. Let me have a taste, give it a try." "Lu Jiang." The voice became lower and lower, and finally turned into gasping, one after another, and it didn't stop even after the kerosene lamp burned out. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 367. Wow! 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 Spitting out the deflated pacifier, Lu Zibao howled at the top of his lungs and moved his limbs wildly. Feng Qingxiu almost couldn't hold him. "It's all your fault," Feng Qingxiu glared at Lu Jiang. After finishing Zibao's food rations, wouldn't Zibao be annoyed if he couldn't get breast milk in the middle of the night? Zibao always protects his food, but if he can't satisfy his appetite, everyone will stop sleeping. Lu Zhang coughed, his eyes wandering back and forth, and he was a little embarrassed. How could he blame him if he was so sad? Besides, the little fat boy has been eating milk for 7 or 8 months. There is milk powder at home, so he can't starve. Feng Qingxiu sat on the side of the bed and kicked him out of bed. Hurry and make milk powder for Zibao. Yes, my dear wife. Lu Zhang walked out of bed shirtless, put on his cotton slippers, and illuminated the kerosene lamp with a flashlight. Then he poured some kerosene from the oil bottle into it, lit it again, turned off the flashlight, and then took out the kerosene lamp. A special duckbill-shaped glass baby bottle. The milk bottles in the space did not match the characteristics of this era. Feng Qingxiu had to help many people to buy this bottle. She was always careful. There was hot water in the thermos, and cold water in the enamel jar next to it. She mixed the cold water with hot water, and the milk powder was quickly prepared, so that the child did not have to wait hungry. Here, little fat boy, Lu Zhang stretched out the bottle towards his son. Zibao was shouting with his eyes closed, without even looking at it, and the fat little flesh on his arms and legs was trembling wildly. Lu Zhang directly stuffed the bottle into his open mouth. I'm so used to you. The more you cry, right? Little fat guy, if you cry again, I'll eat your rations tomorrow and ask you to drink milk powder every day. Zibao opened his eyes, held the bottle and sucked it while sobbing. Qingxiu, he seems to be able to understand what we are saying. Lu Zhang knelt on the bed and looked at his fat son with bulging cheeks and drinking milk powder in surprise. He was drinking milk powder in a hurry. Feng Qingxiu rolled her eyes at him. The child is not static. He is growing up gradually and slowly has his own consciousness. Is it strange that he understands words? Many times I ask him to turn over, and he turns over to me. Look. When I call his name, his eyes will turn to me, which shows that he knows that Zibao is his name. Hearing his name, Zibao rolled his eyes and looked at his mother in front of him. Lu Zhang praised, this guy is as smart as me. Gluttony is just like you. After hearing this, Lu Zhang chuckled. After eating and drinking, and changing his diaper, the little fat man quickly fell asleep. Feng Qingxiu lay down with Zibao in her arms and asked Lu Zhang to turn on the lamp, stop making trouble and go to bed early. There will be nothing at home tomorrow. Why don't you go visit Aunt Zhao and tell her the current situation of Zibao's godfather? Lu Zhang did as he was told and pulled another quilt to cover himself. Go, you should go as soon as possible. Thinking of Zhao Anbang's current situation, Lu Zhang sighed, but soldiers are always prepared to be wrapped in horse leather when going to the battlefield. It is a great blessing to be able to save a life. He pulled up the quilt. Lila, I always felt that covering a quilt by myself was very desolate, so I couldn't help but said, Qingxiu, next time I make a big quilt, if the width is not enough, just put 2 quilts together. A family of 3 would be unhappy if they didn't sleep in the same bed. Feng Qingxiu had already closed her eyes, and after listening to his words, she said, there is a big quilt in my space, 2 meters long and 2 meters wide. We will pretend to bring it back from the city tomorrow. Okay, Lu Zhang would not wrong himself. He looked up at the dark roof through the quilt. Honey, can I discuss something with you? Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 368. Feng Qingxiu heard his solemn tone, as if he had made a lot of determination to speak this way, and couldn't help but ask what it was about. Lu Zhang was silent for a long time and said solemnly, I want to donate our family's gold to the country. What made you have such an idea? Feng Qingxiu did not disagree, but was just curious. Lu Zhang found that although his wife did not agree, she did not object. He let out a long breath and said, our country's armed equipment is too backward. Many times, Our soldiers are not unable to fight or cannot defeat the opponent, but lose in terms of equipment. He gave his young life forever. When he mentioned his dead comrades, his eye circles were a little red and his nose was a little sore. What is gold good for? Our country is poor, backward, and lacking in resources. Many technical equipment is imported, and foreign exchange is exchanged for gold. Many foreign equipment and domestic mechanical materials we need to be purchased by our country with gold. Banks. This is the reason why we have been recycling gold and not selling it to others. Although our gold is not much, it is insignificant compared to the national gold reserves, but I still want to do my part. Our family is not short of money now, and the 5,000 yuan you sent me before has not been used yet. Materials are scarce now, and there are not many places to use money. Your salary is more than enough, and I can save it every month. A sum of money. For us, it would be a waste to keep the gold for sale and bury it in the ground. If you want to donate it, then donate it. Feng Qingxiu likes jewelry, which is a woman's nature, but she doesn't have much love for gold. Anyway, when she gets rich, she can still buy all kinds of gold jewelry, and the price is not too expensive, not as good as jewelry, jade, and diamonds. Rare. What is your reason for donating gold? If we donate it now, our father will definitely be charged with hiding property. Our family has finally lived a stable life, and I don't want to give it to us just because of donating this batch of gold bringing disaster to the family. Anonymous, donate anonymously, without leaving any information about our family. After receiving his wife's consent, Lu Zhang was ecstatic, but he remained calm. The premise of donating was to ensure the safety of his family. Isn't it that easy? Nowadays, you need a letter of introduction to send letters and things. Lu Zhang smiled and said, I'll find a way. As long as there is a will, there is a way. Okay, you can figure it out yourself, think of a way, and then find the time to dig out the gold. Feng Qingxiu was very sleepy and spoke vaguely, I also have some gold in my space. Let's donate it together when the time comes. The sound became lower and lower until it was silent. In the darkness, Lu Zhang didn't know how bright the smile on his face was. If you get a wife like this, what more can a husband ask for? Rather than donating gold, he was more concerned about the big quilt his wife talked about, so he threw the zibao to his father after breakfast the next day and urged his wife to go to the city with him. You go early and come back early. Father Lu grabbed one of Zibao's hands and waved to them. Zibao liked Father Lu very much, lying in his arms with the nipple of the bottle in his mouth. Got it, Lu Zhang responded. The snowy road was slippery, so he pushed his bicycle with a bamboo basket hanging on it, and the two of them still walked. Honey, you have contact with the Zhao family. How is their family situation? After Uncle Zhao was devolved, life at Aunt Zhao's family has been difficult. They have been under investigation from time to time. I don't dare to go in and out of their house often. I only occasionally sell some food to them halfway through the walk. No one was watching, and Feng, while putting supplies into the bamboo basket, Qingxiu told her husband about the Zhao family's situation. Tiankai is very well behaved. Aunt Zhao and sister Qiahong taught him well. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 369. After his wife's narration, Lu Zhang had a preliminary understanding of the Zhao family's affairs. Unexpectedly, when they arrived at Zhao's house, they found that there was no one at home, and General Tai was guarding the door. Why is there no one? Lu Zhang was very puzzled. The snow had not melted yet, and every household would not go out if they could. Feng Qingxiu had been to Zhao's house. Although she didn't visit Zhao's house as frequently as Uncle Su's and Aunt Su's house, She still recognized the Zhao family's neighbors and hurriedly knocked on the door to find out where the Zhao family's people were. She was worried that Aunt Zhao, mother, and son Zhao Qiahong would be criticized again. "Oh, are you looking for them?" They went to visit relatives. Neighbor Aunt Wang told Feng Qingxiu simply, "Aren't you the girl Tiankai brought back to treat his illness?" Tiankai and his grandmother later followed him. "I said that if it weren't for you, she would have died of that serious illness. Before she left, she came to me and asked me that if you came to see them one day, I would tell you that the three of them would come when I saw you." I visited relatives in the Northwest farm and visited Tiankai's grandfather. Although Tiankai is his grandson, his surname is Zhao now, so he changed his name to Uncle Zhao and Aunt Zhao as his grandparents. Aunt Zhao's family moved back to their hometown from the capital. It's not because their family background is not good. The old man is an old revolutionary. Even if he is devolved, he is still an admirable person, so the relationship between their family and the neighbors is not bad. Feng Qingxiu was very happy after hearing this. "Is there any news about Uncle Zhao? Has Aunt Zhao's family been allowed to visit relatives?" Aunt Wang smiled and nodded, "Yes, we ordinary people don't understand the things above, but it is a good thing for their families to see each other after being separated for several years. Who is this person next to you?" Feng Qingxiu hurriedly introduced her. "This is my lover Lu Zhang. He and Aunt Zhao's son, Comrade and Bang, were comrades in arms, and they came down from the battlefield together. This year he got the opportunity to visit relatives, and was entrusted by Comrade and Bang. Come to visit Aunt Zhao. Who would have thought that our arrival was so unlucky? There is no one in Aunt Zhao's family. Hey, is there any news about his family in Anbang? Okay, okay. I'll tell them when they come back after the new year." Aunt Wang was very happy for Aunt Zhao. Over the years, Tiankai Tana has been talking about this life and death a lot. Sons of ignorance. If they knew that Anbang was still alive, they would be ecstatic. He was alive, but seriously injured. Having permanently lost the ability to have children and losing a right arm, it was unlikely that he would stay in the army, and he had no idea what kind of job he would be able to get when he returned. Chen Ming lost an arm, but he has a good background and represents the broad masses of working people. Although Uncle Zhao is a revolutionary soldier, and so is Zhao Anbang, Uncle Zhao's hat is not very good now. If he can be sent to the farm to participate in labor reform, he will probably be labeled as a traitor. On the way away from Zhao's house, Lu Zhang heard his wife sigh and fell silent after learning the reason. This world. I couldn't say it. Even if the world is unfair, it cannot stop people from being patriotic. Without seeing anyone from the Zhao family, Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu wandered around the city for a while, then went to the city and carefully observed the many procedures of banks and post offices. As expected, they were very strict. The supplies taken out from the space were still placed in the bamboo basket, so Feng Qingxiu simply sent some of them to Huo Biding. In this way, it would be convenient for Lu Zhang to observe the mailing process and let him know that donating gold is not that easy. She had to make him quit before the difficulties, not because he was reluctant to part with the gold that the Lu family had secretly collected, but because she was afraid of endless troubles. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 370. Lu Zhang belongs to this era. He is full of passion and devotes himself to serving the country and the people, but he cannot foresee the catastrophe in the next 10 years. That catastrophe was huge and involved thousands of lives and situations. However, Feng Qingxiu understands. She was dazed at night and followed Lu Jiang's wishes without much thought. She did feel sorry for the hardships faced by soldiers. But at dawn and her mind cleared after a nap, she began to worry. She couldn't tell the future of 10 years of catastrophe. Lu Zhang. To mail something or to pick up something or withdraw money, you need a letter of introduction issued by the local government. Bank management is stricter. How can you exchange a large amount of gold without attracting the attention of bank staff? A small amount of gold and silver dollars is enough, and it's okay to deposit and withdraw cash. Which ordinary person doesn't have some hard currency in his hands? When a large amount of gold appears, doesn't that reveal the origin of one's family background to the world? Now with Wang Zhenqiu's blessing and the fact that he has benefited everyone with his medical skills, Lu's father finally lived a peaceful life for a few days. Can he bear to drag the old man into the whirlpool again? These words cannot be discussed in detail with Lu Zhang, who has been in the army since his youth. She now lives in this era of pure faith, but deep down she has the indifference and selfishness of the 21st century. She has no faith and only wants to believe in herself. Therefore, it is best to let Lu Zhang hit the wall on his own. After being disappointed and unable to find a way to donate gold without putting his family in danger, he would not continue. Although the country and its people are very important to him, his family is equally important. After living for such a long time, Feng Qingxiu knew Lu Zhang very well. He could risk his own life for the sake of his country, but he would not sacrifice the lives of his family for the sake of his country. Sure enough, Lu Zhang immediately hesitated when he found that the situation was not as simple as he thought. Qingxiu, I looked and thought about it, and it seems that I am powerless. Feng Qingxiu covered her mouth and chuckled, you know now. Lu Zhang pushed his bicycle dejectedly. He understood what his wife said last night. It was indeed difficult to ensure the safety of his family after donating gold. He had reasons to donate, but he could not find a way to ensure the safety of his family. Before, he thought that as long as he was willing, he could find a way, but the facts told him that this sentence was a bastard. Ajiang, don't be sad. Compared with most soldiers, Lu Zhang who retreated despite the difficulties was actually impure. But Feng Qingxiu likes Lu Zhang very much. She likes Lu Zhang, who has a spirit of dedication but does not give blindly. She admires Lu Zhang in her heart, but keeps a distance from him in life. After hearing this, Lu Zhang looked up at the sky, with a hint of confusion in his eyes. When he got home, Lu's father scolded him bloody when he found out. Do you know why knowledgeable and educated people are labeled as stinky people and become low-ranking people? Dad, why? Feng Qingxiu felt sorry for Lu Zhang being scolded and quickly expressed her doubts first. Father Lu said in a low voice, the reason is very simple, that is, knowledgeable and educated people have their own thoughts and behavior, and are difficult to be influenced by other thoughts, so they are not pure. He spoke very vaguely, but Feng Qingxiu understood it clearly. In short, this type of people are not easily brainwashed by state propaganda. Yes, it's brainwashing. Why are people of this generation pure and lovely? Why is it crazy and passionate? Everything they say and do above is true.